Hey everybody, Swamp Cleaner here, back with another video for you. Now I know the other night I did a video about Star Wars, but it was going right at the time that this Iran-US tensions were rising and the Iranians were firing missiles at us, and it turns out that they didn't do anything to us. Well, I think it is about to get a little bit more messy for Iran because it seems like they did a little bit of an oopsie and they shot down a Boeing 737 that was heading to Ukraine out of Tehran because probably one of their air defense missile guys who were manning the radar stations had a little bit of an itchy trigger finger and just pressed the button before verifying what he was shooting at, because it seems like all the evidence is suggesting that the Iranians shot down that plane that crashed outside of Tehran by mistake. Well, oopsie doopsie. Um, Now, this is all because the same night the Iranians were firing missiles at Iraqi Air Force bases which were housing U.S. troops, where no damage was sustained and no casualties were taken by Americans. Um, During this time, it was all because the U.S. killed this top general Soleimani, and the Iranians were all hot to trot, rattling the saber, saying, "We're going to come back at you, we're going to get you." So this was their show of force, which was just propaganda for their people who were mourning the death of this guy, and they were burying him at the same time. This is supposed to go on their TV and give all the people the right feels and all the good the wave of patriotism they need to support the government, even though, because the country itself is in turmoil, the people hate the regime because the regime is cutting off supplies to the people. The people are starving. The people are being beaten. The people are being killed en masse at some points. It's terrible what's going on in Iran. So there's a turmoil struggle between the regime and the people itself. So this was like the regime trying to get some kind of win against the Americans, and a win in propaganda for their people so they can hold power. But in all this turmoil, they killed more Iranians, Ukrainians, and Canadians that night than anybody else, because of some guy with an itchy trigger finger assuming that Americans were going to retaliate on a nothing strike in Iraq. They shot down a civilian jetliner that killed 63 Canadians, and I don't know the number of Iranians and Ukrainians killed, but there was 167 or 176 people on board. 63 were Canadians, so between the Ukrainians and Iranians, there was another 110, 120 people. That's horrible. That's that's a that's an avoidable tragedy because somebody had an itchy trigger finger because they were scared out of their minds. And apparently, the mainstream media will say that the Iranians were acting rationally when Donald Trump was flying off the handle. I'm sorry. Donald Trump came out afterwards saying, "You know what? Hopefully this is the end of it. We can all de-escalate. We can walk away from this. I mean, we can." And he came out saying there's going to be new sanctions, and everybody who is our allies, who are supporting us. Iran isn't having any support. The Russians said, we'll be an intermediary between the two countries. That doesn't sound like a show of support for Iran. China's not saying anything, and nobody else is backing Iran. Everybody is on America's side, Donald Trump's side. So now we can actually maybe scrap up that deal entirely by all the other countries, restart anew, and Iran is toothless. They have nothing to go for them. They're so incompetent that they can't kill any Americans and turn out killing more of their own people. And yes, this is all still unconfirmed, but all the evidence is leaning towards there's shrapnel damage. There was high impact damage on the plane that they're stating. There was no communication, but if there was like engine problems, you'd think that they would, radio the tower saying we got engine problems. But no, it seems like if they got hit by a missile, maybe maybe communications got knocked out. Who knows? But either way, this is looking really bad for Iran, and it's egg in their face. They look silly on the world stage. Donald Trump wins again, and there is no World War III. So everybody who wanted one, or everybody who was blackpilled into thinking, oh yeah, it's this Donald Trump has become a Zionist shill, whatever crap. No World War III. Iran looks silly. And I guarantee you that in a few months, the Iranian nuclear deal is going to be a thing of the past. There's another win for Donald Trump. How about that? So I'm going to just, that was very quick, short, concise, because I've seen all this misinformation around this entire shit show that's happened in the past 48 to 36 hours, 72, or 36, 48, 72 hours, 3 days. It's all silly. So you have to look at the brass tacks, look at the information, and see that the Iranians screwed up massively. This is egg in the face. They are a laughing stock at the moment. They can't be taken seriously. So Donald Trump is just gonna be like, you know what? We're no retaliation, but there are new sanctions, and they're never gonna get nuclear weapons because look, they're incompetent. They are incompetent. Anyway, that's what I had to say about this because short, precise. I just had to because I had to clear the air because all this misinformation around what's been happening is just idiotic. So Donald Trump did the right thing. He did not respond to their um, show of force missile attack, which was more for their people's propaganda than anything. It wasn't to try to kill Americans. And some sources said that, oh, they intended to kill Americans. That's just them rattling the saber again, saving face. But no, it's done. We've reasserted control in the area for the most part. They're not going to be doing anything else. They've shot down and killed more of their own people, Ukrainians, and 63 Canadians. And they haven't killed any Americans. So they're in the negative. They've killed more of innocent people from around the world than anybody else. They've killed a lot of their own innocent civilians too. And that's why the people are probably going to rise up against the regime soon, because these mullahs are incompetent. The Ayatollah doesn't know what he's doing. Anyway, that's the swamp cleaner. That's all I had to say. I'll see you guys later. Bye.